everybody. Thank you for joining us on Brigitting the Gap. I am Bridget Aids, and my guest today is Heidi Zeller-Crawford with Mary Kay Cosmetics, and a dear friend of mine for, I'm not going to mention how many years because you'll know how old I am. So I am going to be introducing Heidi here shortly, but if you would do me a great big favor, if you would mind, just please hit the subscribe button and also the bell to be notified when I have a new show, and also the like button. That'd be great. And share me with your friends. We're all about the entrepreneur world, the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, make this your best day and enjoy the show. All right, Miss Heidi Crawford, how are you, sweetie?
I am fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, Heidi, I wish I was there with you, first of all. One of these days we need to get out there. But Heidi, I'm so excited. Will you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your family and also just a little bit about you? So please introduce yourself.
Heidi Zeller-Crawford. I'm an independent sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. My husband Glenn and I live on his family farm. It's a century farm, so they have been here quite a while. We have a son, Garrett, who's 13, and a daughter, Claire, who's 11. And we have a philosophy in our family. We work hard, we play hard. We do a lot of things. We're very busy, but I love the balance and how we can sprinkle it in around the other things that we do in our busy lives. So that's a little bit about me. You want to know more?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, you do have a busy life, and teens are busy now, aren't they? Teens are so much busier than they used to be. It's absolutely crazy. So Heidi, the reason why I have you on this call today or on Zoom is because our channel is all about entrepreneurs, as you know, and I love your story. If you could kind of share with everybody, what was your journey from leaving the corporate world and going into Mary Kay Cosmetics? What did that look like for you?
Sure. When I was first introduced to Mary Kay, I was in college, and I loved the teaching concept of teaching me how to take care of my face, because my current skincare routine was whatever shampoo came out of my hair and down my face.
That's right.
and I didn't wear any makeup at all. And so I love that there was somebody to teach me along the way. I was getting a business administration degree from Augustana College. And as I was doing that, and I graduated from college, got my first real job. And then I got my second job, which I thought was like everything I dreamed of. Everything my parents had taught me was important. I was a salaried employee. I had an office with my name on the door, vacation time, 401k, dentist, dental insurance, vision insurance, health insurance. I mean, it's like, wow. I felt like I had arrived. And so
you're in the big times, man. Big times.
And I was at a financial institution, and I loved my job. And so, but in the meantime, my consultant had asked me about hearing more about the Mary Kay information. And so I agreed to listen to help her out. And after listening, I just loved how the company made me feel. I loved what it stands for. Most of all, I love the product already. And so I agreed to take the leap of faith without really knowing too much more than I love the product. But the reason why most of us entrepreneurs get started is because we love something. And so we are our own best customer. And so that's how I went from the girl who just didn't even wear any glamour to becoming a Mary Kay consultant. I was a bit incognito for a little while until I realized that I wanted to make some extra cash, because being a salaried employee doesn't allow for that. That just allows for extra hours.
It limits you. It limits you. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so I thought of a part-time job maybe at the mall, and then realized nights, weekends, and I did not have that kind of flexibility, nor did I want to be tied into that type of job. And so I decided that I had a great opportunity just waiting for me. And so I decided to take my secret Mary Kay business and start telling some people about it. And so I decided, not having any quotas, that was a very important fact to me when I first got started, so that I could work it around my schedule. So I went from being a person who wanted to save some money to somebody who wanted to make an extra $100 a week, so I could travel to warm tropical places and thaw out in the middle of the winter. And so that was how I got started. And at that time, I was living moved to my hometown to work at that job, and had moved up to Aberdeen, which is where I live now. And luckily, we didn't have territories in our Mary Kay business, so I was able to take it with me. However, having said that, I only knew two people in Aberdeen when I first came here, and one was my aunt and one was my uncle. And so I really had to learn the referral process and how to meet people and how to surround myself with the type of people that I wanted to work with. And so I was starting to gradually build my business, and was working for a telecommunications company at that point in their marketing department, and came back from vacation with a couple girlfriends and found out that there had been some layoffs and I had lost my job. So yeah, so my plan B quickly became my plan A while I was searching for that next perfect job. And I knew a couple things. I knew I was teachable, I was trainable, I really could do about anything. Most of us can, we just have to put our minds to it. But what I found when I was looking for the next perfect job is that I actually already had it. And that was my Mary Kay business. And I decided at that point, I never wanted to be tied to anybody else's shoestrings, so to speak. I did not want to have to worry about being paid what I'm worth. When was I going to get a promotion? How much money could I make? Was I going to get a cost of living increase? And all those things. And just having that financial control. And yes, there were some scary things, we worry about benefits, because I mentioned that was kind of a big thing when I got my first real job.
Of course.
But, in retirement and health insurance is a huge topic. But what I did figure out is that I can have the best that money can buy. Whatever my money can buy, I get to pick and choose. And there's some great companies out there that are specifically for us as entrepreneurs. And so once I figured that out, I was like, okay, I know how to do what I do. I'm teachable, trainable, and I can do more. And the more I do, the better I get. And so here I am, 22 years later in my Mary Kay journey. We've earned 8 free cars, lots of trips and prizes that were offered from part of our recognition program. And I love that I get to choose when I work, and I can sprinkle it in around our family's busy schedule. So, and I love that I get to mentor women too. So along my journey, finding other women who are interested in doing what I do for a variety of reasons.
And you get to work with whom you want to work with.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? You're not stuck in an office drama.
Exactly. I work in the environment where you go, yes, I get to work with her today. Not where you go. Oh,
so Heidi, all of that sounds wonderful. And I know it's true because I do life with you. Absolutely. But what I would love for us to talk about is, what were some of the voices you were hearing in your own head? How did you overcome your fear? Because we all face fear. We all face fear. It was new. You lost your job. You weren't doing sales, and now you're in the sales. How did you surround yourself with people? Did you face naysayers? Or did you have Mary Kay embarrassment? Because everybody has embarrassment sometimes when they want to call their friends and family, right? How did you overcome all of that?
A couple things. When I decided to take my Mary Kay business to the next level, I found that I needed to work the numbers. And I'll say two things.
What does that mean to somebody who doesn't understand?
So for somebody who maybe not has been in that industry, that would mean instead of looking at, oh my gosh, I'm going to call Mary or I'm going to call Brittany because they're good friends, have a good relationship, and she's probably going to do business with me. And then she says no, and you're devastated because you already have this preconceived notion, this relationship. But we can't count on people, but we can count on numbers. And so what we need to figure out is to figure out how many phone calls will it make and how many times do I need to reach out. And now with text messaging and private messaging through all the social media, those numbers are going to be a little higher. People love to hear our voices. And so, so picking up the telephone can be really powerful. but knowing how many people do I need to reach out to before I am going to get a yes. And a yes doesn't actually mean the appointment's going to hold either. That's a whole nother thing about numbers.
Amen, sister.
But when you're working those numbers, the other thing and this is a different side of the numbers, is the dollar sign, is that I found that you have to work without the dollar signs in your eyes. And that first 30 days that I was working a bit out of fear, knowing that I had some money saved up. So I knew I was okay, but I was also thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to pay these bills. So I'm thinking dollar signs. And so it does take a bit of adjustment, so you can work from your heart and a place of honesty and trust, so that you're working with their best interest in heart. If you're going in going, I need to make $1,000 to pay this bill, they will see that, they will feel that. So that's why I wanted to share about the two different numbers that I talk about, and that, people will build trust and relationships with you, and then they will refer people to you, but they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I love that.
And that's true.
I said that.
And that holds through all of life.
Yes.
As a parent, as an employee, an employer, you're absolutely right. Customer service, either way. So Heidi, with that being said, how did you discipline yourself? Because I love your disciplines. I want to share how you disciplined yourself to treat this as a job, because as you know, and we both have talked about this, creative avoidance. Well, I should make a call, but the carpet needs vacuuming. Or I should really maybe throw some laundry in. You know what? My windows need cleaning. We'll do anything in the world, a new entrepreneur will do anything in the world to creatively avoid what they need to do to reach the goals. What were some of the disciplines or systems you came up with that helped you put that at ease? And how did you reward yourself when you did finish your goals?
Okay. One of the simple things that I still do daily, it's called a bubble sheet. It's not fancy. It has every day of the week on it, and each day of the week has 10 circles by it. And I make 10 outgoing attempts to reach customers of some kind, whether they're existing customers or referrals or somebody I just thought of that really stood out to me that I wanted to offer my services to. And so my goal is that at some point during my day, and I usually block out different time of the day, because you can reach different people at different times, but to make those 10 phone calls. And when I'm done, if I still feel like I'm on a roll, because sometimes you're like, God, this is going good, I'm gonna make another one, then I consider those my bonus calls, and I'll just mark those off on Saturdays and Sundays. And the reason for that is, unless I'm working towards a really big goal, I typically don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. It's just kind of my thing, but that has changed, like I said, during different times of my career. The other thing that I find really helpful is, especially when my children were younger and they were at daycare, because even though I was an entrepreneur and working from home, I'm a work from home mom, not a stay at home mom. And so I did make arrangements.
Like that, Heidi. I like that.
I made arrangements for daycare for the kids so that I had some blocked out time where I knew I could work those blocks. And so I worked that time really smart, knowing I was already prepaying for daycare. So I need to be using my time wisely. And also, like most of our daycare providers or school, there's a certain time that they get out, and there's a certain time you have to be picked up by. And so one of my consultants in my unit shared this idea with me, because she was working full time and doing Mary Kay. And so I took this idea from her, but she worked her job until 5 o'clock every day, but her kids didn't have to be picked up until 5:30. And so she would leave her office and sit in her car and make phone calls, as many as she could get done until 20 minutes was up. Then she was done. And then I took on that idea too. And then you have 10 minutes to go get your kids. You get them. You get home. You can do all the things you need to do at home. And then when your phone rings, because they're responding from your messages, if you didn't reach them, it's so much easier to pick up the telephone and go, hey, this is Heidi. How can I help you? Versus, oh, dinner's over. Everybody's going to sit down to watch their favorite family TV show or whatever. And you're like, oh, I have to go make those phone calls. So just training using small nuggets of time. You don't have to say, oh, I've got 3 hours tonight, I need to make phone calls, but breaking that out. And then the other thing for me, I have a goal of, I call it the 5 by 5 on Friday. And that is to have 5 parties booked by 5 p.m. each Friday. And
I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that from I'm going to alter that into my business somehow.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Heidi.
So 5 by 5 on Friday, or you could have 6 by 6. I mean, whatever you want to do. So by 5 o'clock on Friday, I need those 5 appointments on my books for the following week. If they're not, just like at my other job, I would have to stay late and finish the project because there was a deadline. And so my family knows that too. If mom doesn't get her work done, she is staying late to get work done. And so and I know that my numbers, that what I tracked, that having 5 appointments booked for the next week, I know how many will hold. And it's an odd week if they all 5 actually hold. So it's okay to double book yourself. If we have a couple specific systems in Mary Kay that are unique to us to do that. For everybody's individual industry, you might not be able to do that. So you might have to think about that. So anyway, so then you have that goal set for yourself. So then you're accountable to yourself. And for rewards, I have done many things over the years. Sometimes it's a certain amount of money of my sales each week that go to a trip that our family's working towards. Or it's pizza night out. Our daughter loves to go bowling. So if I ever need some help and encouragement from her, I will put that on the goal poster for the week. And I use goal setting in my business, but our children, even as a young age, they have goals too. And we have those paint strips that you get from any paint store. And I just grab about 10 of them. And I have different topics on the top of each one. And they're like so one might say the kitchen, and it says sweep the floor, wipe the counters, empty the dishwasher, whatever is appropriate to that room. And so those are in one jar. And as the week goes by, every time they take a task of that room or project, they move it over to the complete jar. Now, if everything gets moved over to the completed jar, our house is really well organized and clean and everything got done. And so then we have time to do something extra. And the extra jar, I let the kids decide what the extras are. And the funniest thing is, the thing they want to do first was eat outside on the patio one night for dinner.
Wow.
So it wasn't like, let's go to Disney. I mean, it was, it was an extra day at the library, an extra trip to the library. And there were some water park things, and the bowling thing is big, but I let them decide what went on there. And it was amazing. Have a campfire and have s'mores. It's amazing what little things make them excited. And if they didn't do it, I was like, no worries. It didn't get done, but it wasn't me like on them all the time to do these things. So goal setting works for us as well as the people in our lives.
And I was going to say, I've noticed that our kids, because, they kind of grew up with me and Mary Kay for years. I'm no longer with Mary Kay, but, for years they watched me. They're setting goals. So can you possibly share, I know you have some cute stories, how you have seen the Mary Kay way just shown to your children, and what have they done in their lives that have demonstrated goal setting and achieving goals? Because you've got some cute stories.
So we live on my husband's family farm, and so we have a rather big yard. And so I'll use this as one of our examples. So on Mother's Day, my gift that the kids give to me each year is I apologize, but this is what we call it. We call it Slave Saturday. And I make a list of everything that I want done in the yard to get ready for spring. And we chuck through the list. And when we meet all the goals on the list and get that done, then we get to have some really fun food, like some special things that we don't normally make and stuff at home as a reward. And so we set this goal to get all this done, and then the fun things can happen. Then everything's ready for spring. The pool's up. All those, because we have one of those above ground pools. Nothing super fancy, but a big deal. And so we have that little work task thing, but also when we were a couple years ago, I set a goal that I wanted to take the kids to Disney, and so part of that was having an extra Mary Kay party each week to start putting towards that. But then also there were tasks around the house that the kids could do to earn extra money to put into the goal jar. And Garrett said to me, he goes, "Can we earn enough money so we can fly and not drive?" And which is great, because it would have been like 2 or 3 day drive. So so they can get involved in those fun tasks too. But as we're working and seeing what they want to do, our daughter plays on a traveling basketball team, and so to see her put in the extra time, the extra effort, so that she can reach her goal and her dreams of what she desires as a basketball athlete, those are fun things to see them. And I also remember overhearing a conversation where Garrett said to Claire, "We are entrepreneurs. We don't work just 8 to 5. We work until the job is done." And each summer they do put on a cookie and lemonade stand. We have one of our businesses that my husband runs is in our farm yard, or so it's not too far away. And so they bake cookies, and so that they could, last year it was so they could earn a new monitor so that they could have their own computer. And so they discussed how to figure out how much the cookies cost, and should they charge per cookie or per plate. And we talked about that, and that was important, but we also talked about the people that they were working with, and they had close personal relationships with those employees and family members that work for us. And they decided that they would be better off doing a free will offering because of the relationships that they already had with them. And it was something to consider when you're setting your price point. And we kept it pretty simple. It sounds very elaborate, but it wasn't all that. But I just wanted them to be thinking about some of those advantages when you're doing something like that. And so they were pretty darn excited. And through that process, because they shared their goal with everybody who was coming through the line, it turned out that one of our employees' spouses who came out for the cookie sale had an extra monitor. And all of us have old computer stuff. So, and you're like, it has no value. So she actually gave that to them instead of paying them for cookies. So then they had their money. So then they got to decide what to do with their money. And then they went and they decided they wanted to get those Nerf guns to play with. So lots of lessons learned.
To scream to Nerf bomb. Hey, it's world.
So everything doesn't have to be new, and sometimes just sharing your goal with somebody helps you get to your goal, and even quicker. Or in their case, then they had the extra money to do extra other things. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and Heidi, what I love about that, and I'm sure you see this too, I have multiple friends, I have people in my life that buy their kids everything they want. And it bothers me because I think after a while they get desensitized to maybe, I don't know, an Apple Watch or a new computer or expensive shoes, expensive clothes. I think that's what happens is they lose or they never experience earning something. Because I'll tell you what, I love earning what I have and I treat it better. Do you find that your kids treat things with respect because they earn it?
Yes, absolutely. And so when you see them taking care of an item that they earned or that they purchased, it has so much more precious value to protect it than to that doesn't work anymore, I'll just toss it over in the corner or something.
They're desensitized to the value of it. I was always worried when very few people carry cash anymore, and it's so easy to unconsciously put in your charge card and pay for it unconsciously, and you lose your budget and your mindset with that, don't you? So I'm really glad you're doing that with your kids. So Heidi, Mary Kay Cosmetics is much more than the product. That's just the vehicle. I know that I learned a lot from Mary Kay Cosmetics. One of my favorite quotes is, "A stranger's a friend you haven't met yet." And also, be in the now. Be in the now. Mary Kay Ash used to always say that. So I interpret be in the now, something that a lot of network marketers lose because they feel they always have to do all their network marketing with them all the time. And I love that you have your 10 bubbles a day that you do. So being in the now to me means if you're going to be a mom and you're done working, you're a mom. When you're with Glenn, you're a wife. When you're with your family, you're a family mom at that moment. And when you're with your girlfriends, you're a girlfriend. Do you have anything you want to add on be in the now?
Yes, good point. A tip I learned from a friend who I love that in our industry we always share ideas.
Yes, we
I
steal ideas all the time.
secret idea. If I share an idea with you and you share with me, we both have two ideas versus I have to protect this idea because it's so competitive in other industries. But and that was two things. One, when I'm feeling really overwhelmed and have a lot of things to do, I do what I call a brain dump, and I just sit down with a piece of paper. Yes, and a pen, and actually just write out everything I think I need to do, even if it's like something silly. I just write it down. Then I go through and figure out what are the things that only I can do, and what are the things that I could ask somebody else to do. So, yes. And
is that the word called delegate?
Yeah, yes, it is.
That's the word that a lot of entrepreneurs forget.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
And it goes back to simple as everybody in our house is very capable of loading the dishwasher. They may not do it the way I do it, but if I do it for them or rearrange it, then they'll start going, why bother? Heidi or mom's going to change it anyway. So being sure to just let them learn and do things that way. And then I also have a 6 most important things list that I do each night before I go to bed, so that the next morning when I wake up, these are the 6 things I need to do so that I feel like they're important, they were done, they're accomplished, so that when I am with the kids or I'm with Glenn or as a family or with friends or whatever, that I can focus on that. And I'm very evolving on that, learning all the time. But one of the things that I notice, because I'm an idea person, and so I might be emptying the dishwasher or something and come up with an idea that I want to do or for something totally separate. So I am not afraid to keep a notepad close by. I'm still a paper girl. I do write things in my phone occasionally, and I'll just like quick jot it down so that I don't have to go, don't forget to call Rachel. Don't forget to call Rachel. You know, because oh my gosh, I thought she'd be sharp. I wanted to get her opinion of our products. And so then, but I don't immediately go sit down and call Rachel and leave the family or whatever I'm doing. I just jot it down so that when I'm back in that mode, I have this new list of things so that I can focus. Because I'll use an example. A couple years ago, we went on a family vacation and we were gone for a week. And I was like, you know what? It's going to be all family, no work. I'm not just work. I'm unplugging.
You cursed it.
I left my date book at home. I did not bring any paper. I had to start making notes in my phone. And I was so wound up by that midweek vacation because I felt so overwhelmed with all the stuff I was trying to remember when I got home. So I share that with you because even as entrepreneurs, when we unplug, we never really unplug because our business is like our baby. It is part of our family. So it is okay to have systems in place so that you can enjoy the moment. And if that's, for me, I don't do this on vacation, but on a regular day, I get up at 5 o'clock, and Mary Kay Ash called it the 5 o'clock club, because if you do that 7 days a week, you're up typically an hour before the rest of the world. So that's a whole extra day that you have in your work week that nobody else has. And nobody misses you at 5 a.m. Trust me. There's no at 5 a.m. at my house. But at 5 p.m., if I unplugged from them for an hour, they would notice. And so just finding those systems so that you can take 10, 15 minutes, if you're on vacation for the week, to jot those things down. I need that's what supports me and my personality. So, and so those are tips that I like to share with other entrepreneurs too, so they feel like they can stay on top of things.
Absolutely. I call it shouldn't on yourself. I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But when you can brain dump, when you can organize, when you can be part of the 5 o'clock club, that shouldn't goes away, doesn't it? It really does. So Heidi, in closing, I was starting to say Mary Kay is more than the product. If and you don't have any boundaries, you're not territory. So if there was a woman or a man listening in and they're kind of curious about marriage, they want to kind of tip their toe in it, maybe ask a few questions, would you be open to a connection to them? If I put your website down below and your email down below, would you be willing to just talk with them? And just because I know you're not one that throws yourself into people to recruit. I know you're not. They need to love the product first. So they need all that. And would you be open to a phone call, just of a discovery session for maybe 20 minutes?
Absolutely. I would love to share the Mary Kay story and my story. And I always say, I think you are a more well-informed consumer or a customer if you are a Mary Kay customer when you know more about the company and the products that you're buying from. And that's true of our business or any business. You should know what else your company stands for. And I would love to share more. I'm always looking to make connections myself, whether it's other industry or in our industry. But I feel you said it best when you said Mary Kay is a vehicle, like so many other home-based businesses or entrepreneurs. It's a tool so that we can have financial freedom to make choices, to do the things and support the causes that are important to us. Because I was never a glam girl, all about lipsticks and colors and all those things. I just remember my college roommate saying, Heidi, if you want to look professional, you better learn how to wear a little glamour when you go for your job interviews. And so I just wanted something soft and simple that I could go with. And then when it came time where I wanted an extra $100 a week in my budget, this was the right vehicle for me, so I could do that. And so,
all right.
I love learning about people.
Yeah, so there might be a mom that, because we know you went through this twice. Diapers are very expensive, and so is formula. So there might be a mom that wants to be a work-at-home mom. I love that. And if they want to make an extra $50, they can do that with Mary Kay a week. If they want to make an extra $100 or an extra $500, this is the opportunity to do so. And you're surrounded by a sisterhood that's amazing. So for those of you that are watching, this necklace is what I earned, one of my jewelry pieces I have earned from Mary Kay Cosmetics, because the rewards are just, okay, they're really cool. They are very generous in their gifting, and I think you would agree with that, Heidi. So I hope that all of you that are listening today have an opportunity to please reach out to Heidi. As you could tell, she's amazing, wonderful, down to earth. I just love you, Heidi, so much, and I'm so happy we have each other to do life with. And is there anything that you want to say in closing?
Last thought to finish up is if you know of a consultant or whether she's in Mary Kay or another small business that you can support, we are all in this together. And just to reach out and support each other as small business owners is amazing. And if after hearing more about the opportunities not for you, whether it's this opportunity or another opportunity, you never know who it might be for. You might know somebody in your life who needs to be touched by an entrepreneurial opportunity. Easy for me to say.
Say that 10 times, Heidi.
And I would say for myself and any entrepreneurs, the greatest gift that you can give any of us, it's not in how much you buy from us, although we do appreciate every sale. It is in referring us to your friends and family and your circle of influence and people, because as long as I have more bookings, more appointments, and more referrals, I will always be in business. And that is truly the greatest compliment that you can give anybody in their own business, is the gift of saying, I had an amazing experience with this person, and I think you will too.
So I want to say one last thing. For everybody who's watching, you take a look at what Heidi is wearing. In Mary Kay Cosmetics, that's called a director suit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. As I as you reach the level of independent sales directors in Mary Kay and above, we have the privilege of having a special suit designed for us each year. This one is a Nicole Miller design. She designed just for us. And so it's a level of achievement in Mary Kay and kind of your uniforms. You don't have to wonder what to wear. So, and it changes
for you, Heidi.
So I love that. And it's the first time in my whole life I ever wanted to dress exactly like somebody else, because as a consultant coming up the career path, there is a prestigious red jacket you can wear at mid-management, and then there's the amazing director suit, and you're just in awe of those women. And when you see them at our conferences, and I just step back and go, what a reminder to me that there is no cookie cutter for what makes a businesswoman successful. We come in all different shapes and sizes. And so the only thing we had in common was this suit that we were in, and we have a heart to give and to enrich others' lives. And so if you're not brunette like myself, or if you happen to be taller than me, because I'm only 5'4", that doesn't mean you can't do what we do. It's just about your love, your passion, and your desire to have a better life for yourself, for your family, and those around you.
Well, Heidi, I'm going to say this. Anybody who calls you and gets to know you, their life will be enriched just having you in their life. And again, I'm so blessed and I love you, and thank you. Thank you so much for taking time to be with me today and to share with future entrepreneurs that anything is possible if you believe in it enough. And I'm so grateful to have you. Thank you, Miss Heidi, for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you, darling.